Hello, everybody. I think we are officially live, and today I'm bringing you 10 biggest headlines that is happening in the stock market today, right now. And stock is one of the most entertaining things to cover, and I am very excited in this cover. So first up, we got SpaceX surge tops Amazon, Microsoft, and market cap for the first time today. Snap releases new AR spectacles as spec, and then Robinhood laid off 10% of its workforce. So these are the kind of the three things that I'm gonna talk about. But there's total 10 of the topics, but these are some of the things I'm talking about later on in the video. So let's go right in with the first one. Topic is SpaceX surged past Amazon and Microsoft and market cap. So SpaceX gained about like 4% premature pre-market, lifting its market cap above Amazon and Microsoft briefly. But right now, I think SpaceX has went down a bit, and now it's at one trading at the end of the day at June 17th at $191 currently. So there is a lot of sentiment, a lot of excitement, and a lot of like hype around SpaceX, and even though it's losing money, but institutional investors are really, really excited that potential about the AI space and AI and stuff. So, but I just kind of like warn everyone, right? Right now, it's a lot of hype, and stock does not go up all the time. So eventually, it'll calm down. So once it calm down, or like it gonna be a nasty one. Right now, it's just the multiple is just extremely large. So I just value caution here. Like Warren Buffett said one time that when the stock market is greedy, and be cautious. When stock market is cautious, be greedy. So leave it at that. Intel hits important milestone production. So Intel started manufacturing its 18AP chip node, a key step toward winning outside foundry customers like Apple. That milestone supports Intel's turnaround effort with share up 4% pre-market after yesterday's 8.5 downturn. So why is like Intel desperately needed to win to restore the confidence after a brutal sell-off, right? So this transition into the active manufacturing for its advanced 18AP chip architecture proves that its 5 nodes and 4 years technical roadmap remains on schedule. So they just want the whole investor community to know that we are not behind in manufacturing and designing of the chip. This reassures like investor that Intel is viable enough to land premier high volume external foundry clients like Apple. So they are really going into that um, big giant customers like Apple or even Microsoft one day, because they want the investor to know that hey, I know like Nvidia is taking all our shares, and but we are definitely not just gonna sit around and let the competitors eat our lunch. Definitely want to kind of catch up and let everybody know that hey, we are Intel and we are still here to stay and to win customers. Not another. This is not so good news. Rivian lay off hundreds as EV maker restructures ahead of a key SUV launch. So, Rivian lay off like hundred, affecting lay off like hundreds of employees, affecting like less than 2% of staff, as it's restructured to improve profitability ahead of its critical launch. The sale tumbled 4.5% after news, and Rivian is about to release the R2, which is a smaller SUV. So despite the excitement surrounding the start like of the R2 midsize SUV delivery, Rivian continued to burn cash and remains unprofitable. The workforce cuts heavily concentrated within the corporate service, sales, and marketing divisions represent an aggressive restructuring move to trim overhead and push the company closer um, to positive earning. So in other words, these manufacturing staff, they're not getting laid off. They're still intact, which is good. So the main people that are getting laid off is like the corporate people that work in the corporate office, about the sales, the engineers, and the sales and the HR people. So I think it's not that big of a deal overall, because R2 is a lot of demand. If you've seen the R2 car, it's like very beautifully designed, and I would say daily that it's better than a bit better. It was one of the main competitors of Tesla Model Y because it just that well built with like many thought out details like the kind of the headlight and the side of the door. So really excited about R2 and let's see how it goes because Rivian does need a like a hit like a viral product, right? Because they are still losing billions of dollars, kind of like SpaceX, and these are capital intensive business. DOJ seeks to halt lawsuit against XAI data centers, citing national security. So the Justice Department asked a court to dismiss like the Clean Air Act lawsuit against XAI's Mississippi data center, arguing that the facility support national security AI operations. So the federal government is like increasingly viewing sovereignty AI compute capabilities as a vital defense asset. By intervening to dismiss environmental litigations against the Memphis area supercenter facility, the DOJ is signaling that accelerating national security alliance AI infrastructure takes precedence over local regulatory disputes. So environmentalists is not going to be happy to hear that because basically the government is citing AI over green trees, green grass, and blue sky because they're gonna take a pretty big land to build AI and data center with like water, dig up the trees and stuff. But AI is very important at this critical. It's a critical peace in this day and age. So the U.S. government just does not want to be left behind in this kind of critical AI race. If they are left behind, who's gonna catch up? China. China does not really care about the environment. They have one of the worst pollution ever in the past, but now it's getting a lot better. So that's why United States does not want to fall behind in this race, kind of like the Cold War race. Is for AI. U.S. oil reserve falls to lowest level since 1983 amid ongoing kind of drawdowns. So oil reserve hit 43-year low. Is the lowest since 1983. Ongoing drawdown, which include mostly tied to the Iran war, has eased oil price pressure but raised energy security concerns. So why is the government releasing like so much oil? Is mainly is to control rising energy price during geopolitical tensions. While this helped keep gas price stable short term, it leaves the U.S. with less emergency supply, increasing long term energy risk. So as you know that yes, 2 days ago Trump announced that Iran is signing the war and the Strait of Hamas is finally opening up. And it is kind of that this kind of deal came at a very critical moment because if you think about it, right now the oil reserve is at critically low at since 1983, right? It's almost 40 years low. So it's one of the lowest points ever in the history. So this deal so help kind of ease down that production for the oil and get it back into kind of reserve back into the place where once it was like, so you can have such supplies. Always never hurt to supply up on the oils because you can never know, like if the gas price keep going up to like $4 or $5, it gonna hurt a lot of consumers, and I think it definitely good that the deal is signed and hopefully the gas price continue to lower. Right now, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and gas price is at $3.49. Yes, yeah, it's getting lower, which is very very good to hear because of the deal. U.S. housing start dropped sharply, hitting lowest level since 2020. So the U.S. housing start kind of fell 15.4% in May, the weakest since 2020, driven by a 40% drop in multi-family constructions, missing its forecast. So home building slumps to 6-year low. So why are they going so low right now? So the main reason is that high interest rate and rising costs are crushing housing demand and developer confidence. Builders are pulling back, especially on the apartments, signaling a cooling housing market and slower economic growth ahead. So main thing is just that interest rate is a bit too high, and the energy cost is also very high because you need like and gas for the equipments to build the houses, like laying concrete, you need a crane to move heavy stuff. And if the energy cost is very high, that translates into housing cost too. Building a house is even higher. So that's right, it's going down really, really low. But the new signing on the Iran kind of deals to ease some of that, and kind of hopefully one day it get back to more like a stable spot and continue to build affordable housing for all. Robinhood to cut about 10% of its staff in latest tech layoff wave. So Robinhood confirms plans to reduce full-time workforce by 10%, which is around 290 jobs, while expecting to incur about $28 million in second quarter restructuring charges. The share rose about today about 10% almost market opens and people investors love it. So why did they reduce? So the workforce reduction is part of it, like an aggressive industry-wide strategy known as the Great Flattening, where major tech and financial firms are purging middle management to eliminate corporate bureaucracy. CEO Vlad explicitly noted that the business has never been stronger amid record June trading volume, but the firm is proactively setting administrative overhead to prioritize engineering talent density and fund new products avenue like Trump accounts. So if you look at Robinhood, right, and they are doing very, very well because of the prediction market, and you got the NBA Finals, the World Cup, and they're hitting records in all fronts. And mainly driving one of the biggest growth was the prediction market, and Robinhood at this time is one of the most exciting stock to own right now. I know AI is exciting, but Robinhood is just their kind of product velocity and how often they release product is unmatched. I don't think I can find another company that can kind of match that product velocity. And Vlad, the CEO, never take it lightly. When computer coming out something like better, he want to step up. But right now, mostly just a lot of competitors copying Robinhood because of their innovation. It's really, really fast, and it's one of the most fascinating companies on planet Earth. And because how fast they release product, and I am not gonna be surprised if they can reach like a $1 trillion in market cap because they want to be the number one water share in the world. Trump invokes Defense Production Act to ramp up U.S. weapon output. So, President Trump invokes the kind of the Defense Production Act to accelerate ammunition production after heavy weapon use in the Iran war depleted inventories. Defense contractors like Honeywell, Lockheed Martin, and RTX rose 1 to 2% after the news. So why is President Trump doing that? It's because to sustain conflict in the Middle East has heavily strained the U.S. strategic weapon stockpile. So it's really, really going down at a dangerous level. Utilizing the defense production and legally forced industrial supply chain to prioritize military manufacturing, guaranteeing massive government-backed multi-year procurement contract for major defense firms. So this is almost like um, lobbying going on in my kind of own kind of opinion, because like these defense contractors, they might lobby to go into war, and now they are getting these lucrative weapon manufacturing. If there's no war, they ain't gonna produce a lot of weapons. But if there's war, they're producing a lot of weapons. So this is kind of orchestrating like what kind of defense manufacturer really want, like Lockheed Martin. They're probably like lobbying the head of the White House government to get them weapons going up. Um, Next up, we got Snapchat. Snapped will unveil the consumer AR glasses. Share tumbles on the investor concerns. So Snap unveiled its first augmented reality glasses meant for consumers. Thought the company remained unprofitable, but the AI glasses is cost about $2,000 and it's humongous. So why is Wall Street not very satisfied? So Wall Street has like very little patience for expensive hardware moonshots when core digital advertising growth is kind of lagging, right? While the new AR glasses are technical milestones, investor hammered the stock by 10% out of the fear that the capital expenditure on improving consumer hardware that will delay Snap's timeline to structural profitability. So the main thing that the investor worry about is just the profitability. Can Snap really become profitable? Investor will be a lot happier, if they Evan Spiegel focus on getting net income positive, but instead he's focusing on building a really big glasses that is not even cheaper or look better than the Meta glasses. If you've seen the Meta glasses, they are really small and comfortable to wear, and these are humongous. You've seen Evan Spiegel wearing it, and yeah, they are like a niche product because it's 2,100. I don't think a lot of people would buy that glasses just for like kind of remind me of the Apple AR headset. Like it came out a couple $1,000. Everybody was wearing it for a bit, and then it just completely died down. Talking about Apple start and target 2027 launch for the AI powered AirPods with built-in cameras. So the uh, so why is it what they want to like launch AI with like AirPods? So first reason is because Apple is aggressively trying to anchor itself as the leader in everyday consumer AI. Introducing built-in cameras to AirPod allows Siri to perceive visuals, real-world data in real time, creating an MP computing experience that excites kind of investors for looking for Apple next multi-billion-dollar kind of ecosystem login. So I guess these things kind of AirPods will function similar to like the specs. You can ask the AirPods, hey, what kind of building is this? Right? You can look at the building and they tell you in the earphone, like, oh, I'm looking at a building that is the One World Trade Center and stuff like that. And then you can ask, hey, what is the weather like for today? And then it would just speak it in the earphone, and then you gotta wear that for the long term too. Like you gotta wear that whole day, to be useful. But I gotta say, like AirPods are like one of the most comfortable things I ever worn. But yeah, that is top 10 headlines for today. If you enjoyed it, make sure to get this with a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. My name is Kelvin, and I see you guys next one.